what's going on in the world today ain't exactly clear. All I know is I can't believe anything that you hear. Vigilant Alaskan, bringing you truth in the last frontier.
All right, we're here with Ruben McNeill, State House candidate for District 35. Ruben, how are we doing?
Hey man, I'm doing good. I'm sitting here hole punching rank cards because when I get done with you, I'm going to go out there and door knock and meet my neighbors in this area here.
Right on, right on.
Yeah,
Well,
man.
cool. So what was it that inspired you to run for office? This is your first go at it, right?
Well, actually, it's my second go at it. I ran in 2022 with another Republican and then against Ashley. There was actually five of us in the race. That was the first year of ranked choice voting was in
Mhm.
2022. So I put in a lot more early work because I wanted to make it through the jungle primary and ranked choice voting so that I could be in the general election. And I was comfortably in the general. But Kevin was probably the favored Republican. I was the conservative. He did okay. I did okay, but it wasn't enough to keep Ashley under 50%. So she won in the first round of ranked choice voting. So that was my first foray into politics. I was really wet behind the ears. But this is my second go. I put a condition that I'd only run again if I got a head to head against Ashley, and I got my wishes on that. So I honored my promise and I filed June 1st, and here we are.
Cool.
So, but really, Matt, I'm that guy. I'm that guy that for years sat on the couch and screamed at the TV and the news and did nothing. I'd light up social media with my rants and I would do nothing. And you hear people saying, your words are empty. Okay, where's the action? So I'm the action. I decided to say, you know what, you're right. So, I mean, I stood up and I filed and put my name out there, put my reputation, and I'm doing this. And so all the other candidates, not just me, deserves a lot of credit for doing that. But we're not heroes or anything like that. We have the ability, we have the desire to do this, and we have the heart to do this. At least that's for my part.
Cool. What was your experience before? What would you do before getting into politics?
You know, I'm not one of those guys with a resume that is going to wow anybody in regards to political qualifications or the qualifications to run for office. Matt, I am that everyday guy. I get up in the morning, I make my breakfast, grab a shower, and I head to work. I put in 8 to 10 hours a day. I come home. Um, I, I do my house stuff. I cook my dinner. I go to bed and I do it the next day. You won't find me as a member of any boards or any committees. I've only recently been politically active as far as attending political events and Republican events and whatnot. COVID really, Donald Trump, COVID, Barack Obama. Those are timelines that really lit me up to pay attention to what's going on around me, not only in my state but nationally and globally. And I started educating myself and getting a little bit more informed and finding areas where I could engage and expand my mind on these issues a little bit more. I'm just a regular guy, Matt. There's nothing here but a desire and a concern for this country, and I want to be in the conversation in the legislature. I want to have a vote. I want to represent common folk concerns because I have those concerns, and that's exactly what I want to try to do in District 35.
Yeah, I can relate a lot to that. Those, some of the same things that got me in this position. And, I uh my dad, I was coming to my dad with the latest thing that I, uncovered in my dive down various rabbit holes. He said, "Well, what are you going to do with this information?" And I was like, I never really thought about that." And so the two most important areas I think to try and push back on these powers that be, I felt, were the medical industry and media. So I started a health coaching business and I'm doing this. So we all
Well,
kind of
Matt,
find our way.
Well, Matt, I'll tell you, what you're doing here with me is invaluable for candidates like me. I am the definition of grassroots candidate. Like I said, I don't get any grassier than me when it comes to this whole thing. You're offering free media, you're offering me a platform, you're offering me a reach that I would otherwise not have, and I give you a lot of credit for doing that. You're putting yourself and your reputation on the line as a conservative leaning podcaster, and that's a big deal. But don't short yourself, and I know you're not. So thank you very much, Matt. Honestly.
No problem, no problem. So what are some of the main issues you would try to tackle when you get down there to Juneau?
Well, if you'll let me, if you're giving me a little bit of a leeway here, let me just talk real briefly about the area that I represent here, so that
Mm.
people know actually where I'm at. Is
Okay.
that this is, if you don't mind, this is District 35. District 35 is the University of Alaska Fairbanks District. We cover areas up here in Fairbanks of Chena Ridge, Chena Pump, the Cripple Creek area,
Mm.
Rosie Creek. We're Geist Road. We're University West.
Mm.
We're University Hills. We're Esther, and we're Shanley there at the university's end of um, College Road there. So
Mm.
it's a tight area. We get up into the Chena Ridge there. There's some distance between houses and some long driveways, but I hope to try to hit some of them and and speak to the people. But
Mm.
I'm running purely on issues that are important to me. One being, I am very much a small government guy, Matt. I'm all about decreasing the footprint of government on people's lives. I am a spending cutter. I want to go up there and get in the middle of people and legislators that are serious about cutting spending in government. Um, I actually want to pursue the dividend and in a serious way. We have to look around and look at the economy that we're living in right now. It's a tough one. You look at inflation and the cost of groceries and the cost of gas and the cost of energy. What's happening with our with heating our homes and running our lights in our house and whatnot. There is a lot of stress on the wallets of families. And I believe that that dividend is important for people in Alaska still. And but we're never, ever since 2016 with what Walker did and the Wilikowski decision and how the legislature is appropriating the dividend amount is crushing people. We're seeing less than half of the dividend that we would have seen prior to 2016. And Matt, in a family of four, that is a big deal, man. That's a big hit.
Yeah.
When you cut a four-person dividend and over half, and you're looking at filling up a fuel tank and doing the things that you need to survive this economy and in Fairbanks especially, it's tough. And we as legislators, we can do responsible governance to help people in that regard surrounding the PFD. And I think we should do that. And if we got to take hard cuts, we take hard cuts. Now, the argument um, do you like public safety? Do you like roads? Do you like bridges? Do you like your snow to be plowed and whatnot? Well, of course. But I think that's a red herring. I think that's an emotional thing. Of course people want that stuff and they're entitled to that stuff, and the government should have a part in providing that. But you're not going to feed me a line of BS that there are not opportunities to cut spending up there in Juneau in multiple departments and in multiple ways. The Governor Dunleavy sent a budget over to the legislature about $700 to $800 million, with a $700 to $800 million budget gap, with the legislators responsible for filling it in some way. And what did they do? Well, it's what they've been doing for quite a number of years. Is they've been going after that dividend.
Mm.
They're putting the people's skin in the game, and they're not putting a whole lot of their skin in the game, in my estimation. And I intend to take that issue to Juneau and be a voice for common sense government that reduces this government footprint and spending. That's what I want to do around that issue.
Yeah. I don't know if you're familiar with Brad Keithley and the guys over at Alaskans for Sustainable Budgets, but invaluable resource there. That was really and again, these are things that he talks a lot about the dividend and the amount of which they can cut into the that fund is something that again doesn't get a lot of publicity. You're not gonna hear about it in the news minor, and like I said, they deserve a lot of credit for covering that because
Yeah,
it's
I catch him. I catch him occasionally on Michael Dukes,
yeah,
and
yeah.
he's a wealth of knowledge around this
Mhm.
issue,
Yeah,
no doubt.
yeah, yeah. Election integrity too. That's another big one for me because I mean it's really the foundation of this whole thing. Like if we can't have faith in our elections, then what's the point? I mean, um,
Well, 100%. I'm glad you touched on that one. That one's ranked right up there with me for sure. I'm one of those guys, Matt, that believe that there was a definite election interference in 2020 around President Trump's election. I'll own that. You can tag me with it. I absolutely believe that. I look at what Biden did, vote total was in comparison to his campaigning. I look
mm,
what President Trump did, and I see no correlation.
yeah, there's a lot of anomalies too, where at the all the bellwether counties that he won, there's just so much there. Again, if you feel like everything was on the up and up, like just from a base level, we fundamentally changed the way we do elections. This whole idea of early voting and well, we got a whole month of election time. It's crazy.
Well, you look at things like the melon voting. It was like a movie was unfolding in front of me in 2020
Yeah,
regarding the melon votes. You could totally see it. People like me and you that were paying attention, you could totally see this script rolling out with melon ballots
well, they
around
told
COVID in
us.
2020, and they told us they
There's
told us.
the article in the Atlantic. It was something like mail-in or election night may be a thing of the past. Now it's going to be election month or week, and but don't be surprised when it looks like Trump's winning in the beginning, but then that's what they call the red mirage. It's just like, wow, okay, and that's exactly what happened. So,
Well, I went to
uh,
bed. I was in North Carolina. I voted, and then I went to. My father was sick during the 2020 election, and so I actually planned to go down for the Trump election to North Carolina, where all my family is from, and I wanted to watch the election results with my uncles, who are very conservative, very Trumpy people, and it would have just been a wonderful party night. We just knew that Trump was going to easily win this one, and we had it all in the bag and everything. And when we watched the election results come in that night, we all watched the election results come in. I went to bed thinking he's got this baby in the bag. He was up like 250, 300,000 votes or something in Pennsylvania.
that one was like 700,000. It was
It
crazy.
was a
It was
lot, man.
crazy.
It
It
was
was
a lot.
crazy what happened. Like there
It
were
was absolutely, and you could
some
just see it.
counties reporting more than 100% turnout. Like, oh yeah, in a state with
Exactly.
like 15%, I would doubt that.
Exactly
Yeah.
correct. And you could see it. You could see it, especially in the battleground states around Georgia and Michigan and Arizona. And you could just see
Mhm.
what was happening. And it was like a week process after the election. And you could just
Mhm.
see him losing it, and losing it. And nobody can convince me that something that there was no fraud in that election, that there was no interference, and it was all around the mail-in ballots. I also believe that the voting machines,
Yeah.
they need to go. They need
Yeah.
to go, bud. There's plenty of, when you get into politics, local politics, and you start meeting the people that are engaged in politics in Fairbanks and in the community. There's plenty of people out there that are willing to count a ballot. I can
Yeah.
promise you,
Yeah.
and
It's not like we
on
got
both
many to
sides.
count.
Yeah, exactly. So it's all BS that we have to have these machines,
Yeah.
that we have to have these mail-in ballots. People will go to, if people want to vote, they will get to the polls and they will vote. But we need to strengthen up things like voter ID. We need to clean these voter rolls. That it's absolutely insane, the
Mhm.
voter roll situation in this state.
Yeah.
There needs to be an organized effort, and there's some groups out there that are attacking the voter roll issue, and they're having some success. You know, Dr. Frank came up here
Mhm.
3 or 4 times. I caught him one time.
Yeah.
Spent about an hour with that guy and tell me there's no election fraud in the
Yeah.
state of Alaska.
Yeah.
That guy was
Yeah.
amazing. But the thing about Dr. Frank is that he brought the evidence
Yeah.
that was pretty undisputable. So election integrity is a big thing for me, Matt. We can't get it through Juneau with our current crop of legislators,
No.
but I can promise you, with me, that's going to be one of my peak issues for sure.
Absolutely. Another big issue for me personally, and this is something kind of, again, it's something I've been trying to get to the bottom of and haven't had a whole lot of successes to our resource development. Why is it up to people in Washington whether we drill for oil in one place or another out here? And so I don't know what role the state legislators can play in that, but I think it's one of the biggest issues for all Alaskans, really.
Well, resource developer. I'm an all projects on the table developer type of legislator. I think that we should look at non-renewables and renewables.
Mhm.
I do believe that the feds control a lot of land in Alaska that are mineral rich,
Yeah.
and that the EPA has their fingers in it very deep. And then we have a president that is not favorable to resource development
Okay.
in the state of Alaska, especially non-renewable or the fossil fuel resources. And I think it's a disgrace. We are
Mhm.
mineral rich in this state, and for the Biden administration to do what they've done just in this term here is
Yeah.
despicable.
Yeah.
The jobs, the revenue, everything that we're missing out because of his administration is just detrimental. It is absolutely pivotal that we get this man out of office and not put in his underling Kamala Harris. I mean, Donald Trump has made very specific promises to the state of Alaska as to what he will do in regards to getting this state opened up
Yeah.
to resource development, and everyone should be excited and eager to run to the polls on November 5th and vote for this man, if for no other issue than that issue right there. Willow is going. We must get the Ambler Road project. We got it. We must get that thing cranked up. Anwar, we've got a gas line that I support, that needs to be advanced, and to whatever degree that the state has influence or anything that they can do, I'm going to be a part of that. The rail belt. We need to get cheap energy flowing through that rail belt, and the energy rates in the interior here is crushing people. I mean,
Yeah.
literally crushing people. Matt,
It's
I
tough.
live in I've got more lights on right now in my house than I ever have in the middle of the day. I mean, I'm one of those light Nazis. I can't stand to see a light across the room turned on, and yet I still pay $150 a month, $200 a month. I tell people that, and they're like, "Are you kidding me? I'm $400 a month. Don't even talk to me," type
Yeah,
thing.
yeah,
So,
it's
so
nuts, and that's crazy for electricity. That is,
it's
yeah,
nuts, man.
yeah,
It's
yeah,
absolutely it's absolutely nuts. And when you think about it, we have one of the richest coal mines about an hour and a half, 2 hours down the road from Fairbanks here,
yeah,
bud.
yeah,
And they are mining some of the cleanest coal in the world, low
yeah.
sulfur coal.
Yeah, and
We you
this
know
is
we
where
have
the green stuff really concerns me, when they talk about eliminating fossil fuels. Like, well, one, that's never going to happen, and two, they don't understand the impact that's going to have on people. Like that is the driver of the evolution of civilization is access to energy. And so
absolutely.
when you start crippling that, you are crippling the people. And I mean, who does it affect most? The poorest of people. So yeah,
That's
it's a big concern for me.
it's exactly right. I'm always on the table.
Mhm.
This is Alaska, for God's sakes. I mean, name it, name the resource, and we've got an abundant of it.
Yeah.
Let's put the capital investment towards getting some of these projects off the ground, and let's loosen up permitting, and let's
Hmm.
work with hopefully Nick Begich
Yeah.
and our senators, and hopefully a President Trump, and let's try and loosen up some of this environmental stuff in hopes that
Mhm.
maybe we can get some of these projects fast tracked and off the ground and going. Let's get some, let's
Yeah.
get people to work. We see a
Um,
flood of people out of the state of Alaska because it's so freaking expensive up here. It's because people can't find housing. They
yeah.
can't find work. They can't find work that pays the bills and gets them to the end of the month and everything.
Yeah.
And people are leaving this state, and it's gonna affect us. So we got to do a 180-degree turn in Alaska in a lot of ways. But I think
Mm.
that we can do it. But it's going to take the right people who are willing to go to Juneau and commit to the work to dive into some of these issues,
Mhm.
and really come up with some solutions, brainstorm some solutions out of the box, and let's help that family out there that wants to live in Alaska and reap the benefits of living in Alaska, the peace and the tranquility and the relative freedom and just the beauty and that the spirit of Alaska that I talk about, that we all know who live and love Alaska. Um, um, that can be attained by everyone that lives up here and experienced. But the distractions of just living and existing and prospering and the difficulties, it really impairs that. And I think we can do better as a government, as a state government, and we should.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I agree. Definitely seems to be a little bit of a disconnect between the political class and the average person, and it's just a trickle down from the national level where they're even more out of touch.
Well, if
Uh,
you look, if you look, I mean, if you look nationally, I mean, it's scary what's going on nationally, man. Look at our
yeah.
culture. Look at
Yeah.
woke culture, man. Look at this DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion. I'm about as anti-woke a person as you can get. And what's funny, and what's funny is I don't even know. I mean, I don't even understand how woke culture has taken over in America, and it's being embraced and accepted. And it's almost like COVID warped our brains in a way.
Oh, it,
We
it
we
definitely did a number on people. Along those lines, October 26th, there's an event put on by the COVID Alliance down in Anchorage. One of the speakers is going to be Dr. James Lindsay, and he is one of the best at answering that question you just asked about how and what is this stuff? How did this happen? He gives he does great work on that whole topic. So
I've heard of his stuff, and I may have listened to some of his stuff.
that's great.
He does. You're right. He kind of ties the whole culture around COVID and what happened during those years. But I see it, man. I just it's like a 180-degree switch in our whole mindset. I kind of think it actually started more. I think it really hit the fast track with Barack Obama, to be totally
Hmm.
honest with you.
No, yeah.
But man, once Trump got in office in 2016, the people woke up and they're like, "Whoa, this is not where we want to head." And then
Yeah.
here comes things like COVID and the whole election thing. And I just see a switch, but people are accepting an argument over the definition of what a woman is. They they
Yeah,
they
there's
they are listing 60, 70. I don't know what the official number of gender identities are right now. It's insane, man.
yeah.
And people are playing along with this stuff, the pronoun use and the gender identities and this
It's
DEI mindset where where corporations and
um,
businesses are being forced to follow a DEI standard where
well, in the
people are
government
so,
too.
yeah,
You
and
know,
then
I
the
mean,
government,
and
military, and
they
yeah.
and that's one thing I said when you have these budget problems. Like, okay, well, we can start with the DEI department. We can eliminate that. One, it goes against the Civil Rights Act. Like it mandates discrimination. So I don't. It's very strange to see.
Well, I mean, look at the school board. There's a DEI committee on the school board here in Fairbanks,
Yeah, yeah,
and look at that. Look at the members of that committee. I'm telling you, we've got problems, and
yeah,
it's very very local. Look at our school board members. Look
yeah.
at our
No,
assembly.
those are
And
some of the more important. Like I said, Loa and April Smith, get out there and vote for those gals.
oh yeah,
They
those
know what's going on for sure.
Oh yeah, I know Aloha. I spent some time with her. She's got her head
Yeah.
screwed on straight. She's terrific,
Hmm.
and she really cares about these kids. And so does
Yeah,
April.
yeah,
April has a big family. April is a tough is a tough
yeah.
conservative, and
Yeah,
she's
she's great.
principled. But anyhow, we got some local candidates out. Absolutely, make a little pitch to them. Is
Hmm.
that absolutely get out there and vote for Ruben here. But October 1st is a big one,
Yeah,
and
yeah. It's
but these issues that we're talking about, especially around this woke culture, DEI, gender identity, transgenderism, and it's all local. It's here. It's in
it
Fairbanks,
is,
and
and it's something that yeah, you have a hard time explaining it to people. At least you did, because it's something that just sounds so off the wall that like I remember trying to tell my dad about it like over a year ago, and he's like, that's not happening. It's like, well, and that's kind of one of the benefits we have up here is everything's a little behind the states. We get a little 5, 10 year cushion on the good and the bad. So that's one of the reasons, like I said, why I decided to get involved, because we got an opportunity to kind of stop some of that stuff before it gets started up here. And
well,
yeah.
and you're right. It's coming here and it's starting to get here.
Oh yeah.
When we could protest, we could do pro-Palestinian, in my opinion, pro-Hamas protest in Fairbanks, where we can do rainbow flag ceremonies and parades and things like that. Scantily clad people in Fairbanks, Alaska. We got problems, man. We got problems, and culture matters to me. And I don't subscribe to that. I won't legislate for that agenda. I'm an American. I don't look at I don't look at a skin color. I don't look at age. I don't look at sex. I don't look at any of that stuff. If you're an American, I'm your ally. I'm the guy that's going to go up there. I'm going to work for you. If you want to prosper in America, you want to work hard. You want to keep the fruits of your labor. I'm your guy. Okay, I want you to have your freedom. I want you to be left alone by the government, and I want you to pursue that American dream to whatever level that you want to, and be able to do it freely. But so
Um,
that's important to me.
Well, while we're on controversial topics, might as well go ahead and hit abortion real quick. It was something that was shocking to me to find that we allow abortion up to, I think it's 32 weeks, which that's a whole baby. Like that was shocking for me to find out.
Let me
It's
tell you something. Let me tell you something about that. Is that I'm a respiratory therapist, right? That's my training.
mm,
You're thinking, what's a respiratory therapist doing running for office? It's probably a good question, but
after
I've
COVID, it
worked.
makes sense.
Yeah, I worked with. Of course, I don't do. I haven't done inpatient respiratory therapy for many years. I've been an outpatient therapist, specializing in sleep medicine. But anyhow, that's a
Mm,
side point.
okay.
Um, um, but I've worked in nurseries, in critical care nurseries, with children born that young,
Yeah.
premature
Oh yeah.
kids
No.
born that young, 30 weeks, and these are humans. These are
Yeah.
people. They deserve to be. I mean, it's disgusting to think
Uh,
about what. the act of abortion is hideous. It's disgusting and it's horrendous. But I'll tell you straight out, I am absolutely pro-life. I
Mhm.
believe that the life of the unborn is has value, and
Absolutely.
that every effort should be made to bring that child into this world. And doctors and doctors should have a focus to do that.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. I
I
would like to at least see some, get that down to a reasonable restriction, because you're not going to get rid of it. It's not going anywhere, unfortunately. The answer, I think, has to be cultural. Ron Paul said abortion shouldn't be illegal; it should be unthinkable, and you can't
well,
legislate morality. So,
well, it should never be the first option. But
yeah.
my father, before he died, he told me, he says, because he was alive when I was running for office in 2022, and I talked to him about things that were difficult.
Mm,
When I door knocked, I would in 2022, I would hand my card to people at the door and start talking to them. They'd flip the card over and they'd look at the issues down the top, and they'd see that I had a statement that said, "I believe that life begins at conception." They'd ask me, "So you're pro-life?" And I said, "I am pro-life." And they'd hand my card back to me. This happened a few times, Matt. They'd hand the card back to me and say, "I'm not pro-life." They said literally every other issue on your card here, I'm 100% behind you on, but I'm not with you on your pro-life stance.
yeah. Well, like I said,
And they would tell me they were Republican and they wouldn't vote for me. And
well,
I really struggled with that. So real fast here, I talked to I would kind of counsel with my father. I respect my father a lot, and he would say, there's some things that you leave to God. I'm a
yeah,
Christian. He said there's just some
absolutely.
things you leave to God, and you may not, it may not be for you to decide, type
Yeah,
things.
that's how I
So,
feel about it too. Like and I know I don't want the government having any say in it really. So, as a moral issue, I'm completely opposed to it. But as a policy issue, restrictions, like I said, you're not gonna.
well,
That's not for us to decide.
well, the reality is that people like to say, "What about harm to the mother?" And I look at people and I say, you don't really understand how the medical field works in regards to that issue. There is that there's always an effort to save the child. Uh, um, um,
Yeah,
And if they cannot, then obviously they're going to go. Then the mother will be saved.
yeah,
But every effort is done to save that child. You don't just say, okay, the mother's at risk. Let's take the child, or let's end the pregnancy. There's effort made. So that one is not a fair argument against
no,
a
no,
pro
it's
life stand.
none of their positions are.
Yeah, and then
They're all based on some kind of deception. But
yeah.
we're getting down to it here. Want to go ahead and tell people where they can support you and give any donations, volunteers, any events you got coming up?
Yeah, but it's www.rubenforalaska.com. You can go there, you can volunteer, you can send me messages. I'm happy to open dialogue with you. And there is absolutely a donation portal there. And you don't win a campaign without money. I've done very, very good and efficient at budgeting, but we're coming into the last 6 weeks here, and the money's going to start hitting the ground. And any support that anyone is able to give is much appreciated, and you can do that online at my website.
All right, cool. Well, yeah, everyone get out there and support Ruben here on October 1st, and we'll be keeping an eye on the campaign, and hopefully we'll talk soon.
Hey, Matt, thanks a lot, brother.
All right, take care.
Bye.